What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So I don't ever want to hear any uh any NBA fan, any modern day NBA fan, ever accuse Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West and Oscar Robertson of ever playing in an inflated league. I don't want to hear that more. You have no credibility on this issue now, unless you also acknowledge that today's NBA stats are inflated as well, especially compared to the 1990s and 2000s. I told you, look, ever since 2005, when they first made rules which were initiated to help offenses, because the players of that era increasingly were lacking some of the skill sets needed to score at a level that made the league even comparable to what we saw in the 80s and 90s. Now, a lot of it was improved athletic play at the center position, the power forward position, but we also started seeing a decline in the mid-range game. We started seeing more ISO, less emphasis on team play and passing, and more on individualism, things that were slowing the game down all across the board, right? So look, the first couple of rule changes I didn't like, but I tolerated it. But ever since Adam Silver has become the commissioner, he's OD'd with this shit. And then you have the latest thing where now players, if a defender happens to hit, if there's any contact with a defender, either on the way up or on the way down, as far as shooting, it's a foul. They're going to shoot free throws. At this point, why even play defense? I mean, it's like we say one thing, and this bald-headed dude keeps doing the opposite. I mean, this is the arrogance of power. This Adam Silver got to go, man. But I think we'll get our wish soon anyway. But so I'm just putting this out here, man. So look, we're only a week into the season. I understand that. And there's a chance that these numbers are going to slow down or stabilize a little bit, right? But these numbers are absolutely ridiculous in my opinion, right? Last year, teams averaged 21.7 free throw attempts per game. 21.7. Right now, teams are averaging 28.2 free throw attempts per game. I told you that was going to happen. So teams right now are shooting about 6.5 more free throws per game than they did last year. The 28.2 free throws per game is the most that we've seen since the 89-90 season, when it was a much more, that was the bad boy season. That was the bad boy Pistons league. That was a much more physical league when you actually had a lot more power forwards and centers leading their teams and leading the league in score. Well, not necessarily leading the league. Michael Jordan leading the league in scoring, but amongst the leaders in scoring. So this was a more physical league. This is a jump shooting, perimeter oriented league, and these guys are shooting 29 free throws a game, right? On top of that, the pace right now, 101.5. That's the fastest pace that we've seen since the mid-'80s. Teams are averaging around 36.6 three-point attempts per game. So we're going up, ladies and gentlemen, even more. We're on pace to have teams shooting about 75 three-point attempts per game. It's going up instead of going down. It's going up further. Right now, teams are averaging 118.5 points per game. That's just fractionally behind the 61-62 season for the highest in the history of NBA. Right now, we're on pace to have the second highest scoring season in NBA history. That was the year when Wilt averaged 50. That was the year when Elgin Baylor averaged 38 points per game, missing 30-something games due to being in the Army. That's the year that Oscar Robertson averaged a triple-double. And then you're wondering why we've already had a couple of 50-point games. You're wondering why we're on pace to have 40 players average 20 points or more points per game this year. You already wonder why the Charlotte Hornets are averaging 130.7 points per game. If they were to even, right now, the Charlotte Hornets are on pace to have the highest scoring season for a team in the history of the NBA. The highest, I think, is the 82 Nuggets that averaged 126.5 points per game. Hornets averaged 130.7. The Miami Heat, remember the Miami Heat a couple years ago? They averaged 108 points a game. And by that standard, it was like the lowest scoring team in the NBA, but their defense was keeping them in the league, keeping them in games, and they were able to go to the finals, but ultimately their lack of scoring cost them. Well, they're averaging 127 points per game this year. I like scoring. I like watching great players score, but maybe I'm an oddball. Maybe I'm a weirdo. But give me the 1999-2000 NBA over any other league. I loved those final score 77-73 games. I love those games. And the reason why I love that particular league is because we got to see who really could score, who didn't need screens, who, when need be, could go deep in their bag and get buckets for their club. What I'm wondering right now, how many points could Latrell Sprewell average in this game, in this particular game, this league? What I'm wondering is, how many points could Chris Mullin average today? I'm not even talking about Jordan and Kobe and those guys. Forget those guys. How many points could the Wizard Walt Williams average today? How many points would Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf average in today's NBA? How many points would Tony Kukoc average today? I'm starting to reassess some things here. You know, the late 90s was supposed to be a watered down era for the NBA basketball, but now that I really look at it, it wasn't really compared to today. Or was the 80s and 90s, or the first part of the 90s, just so spectacular that it only looked watered down in comparison? What would Draws and Petrovic do today? But anyway, you know, I want to say one other thing too for in this video. Cause just want to go ahead and knock this out and say this. I'm seeing people saying, I'm seeing like ESPN and other entities saying Victor Wembanyama is the first player with 100 points, 30 rebounds, 15 blocks over the first 3 games of a NBA season. And I have to say to that, you can't say that. You can't say that because, number one, blocks were not counted until the 73-74 season. You can't say they're the first because probably they weren't the first. Excuse me, Victor Wembanyama probably is not the first. Do you guys know that even though Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is credited with like 3,187 blocks, I think it is, or 189 blocks or something like that, you know that the first 4 years of his career, they didn't count blocks? So in reality, Kareem actually probably had over 4,000 blocks. You see what I'm saying? You, you, you're discounting Kareem's first 4 years of his career. You're discounting Nate Thurman's basically almost his entire career, especially his prime. You're discounting all of Bill Russell. You're discounting all of Will Chamberlain's career. And I find it interesting that the league finally chose to start counting blocks the year after Will Chamberlain retired. What type of shit is that? I assure you, Victor Wembanyama is not the first player with 100 points, 30 rebounds, and 15 assists, or 15 blocks, excuse me, his first 3 games in the league in a season. I assure you he doesn't hold that record. And if anything, Will Chamberlain has done it multiple times. Why do I know that for a fact? Because that was Will Chamberlain's game. Will Chamberlain averaged in his prime at least 8 blocks a night. So there's no way you can convince me that he went the first 3 games of a season with anything less than 18 or 19 blocks. You just can't convince me of that. I know he's done that multiple times. But this is what pisses me off. And this is why I say time and time again, they do whatever they can to lessen the greatness of a Will Chamberlain and all these other guys. I've seen these guys lie and say something like, well, Dennis Rodman has the most 20 rebound games of all time, right? And then you'll see in a small asterisk since the 82-83 season. Then why'd you say all time? That's why I look forward to the NBA on NBC tomorrow. I look forward to them talking more accurate history because it's annoying to me. It's annoying that, and this is the thing. I want to warn LeBron fans about something too. I'm looking at the hype Victor Wembanyama's getting, and I'm already seeing people saying stuff like, I'm already seeing Wemby fans saying, man, at this point, man, LeBron and Jordan is they're gonna be vying for second pick because Wemby's coming. Wemby hasn't done anything. Okay, he hasn't won a championship. He hasn't won a Finals MVP. He hasn't done any of that. He got to prove himself. Okay, he got to prove himself first. But LeBron fans will learn if Victor Wembanyama continues to put up historic numbers, and if they have some success in San Antonio, look how quickly they'll drop LeBron and hop on the Wemby. But anyway, that's all I got to say about